I am Dr. Matt Hayes. I'm a pharmacist in Harrisville, Tennessee. Outside of that, I pretty much love college football. Been watching it my whole life. I am a lifetime season ticket holder, 37 years old. Started way before that with my parents, obviously there. And now I'm here to talk football. So,
how do you make money, Matt Hayes?
like I said, I'm a pharmacist, so I sell drugs. Every day, lots and lots of drugs. Too many drugs to count. Drugs I don't want to sell, got to sell them. So.
Yeah, I'm and I'm here. And this is, again, Zach Berry.
Yeah. Pleasure to be here. What a setting we have here.
Is this cool, man? Is this how you do
really
it, man?
cool.
I like it. It's fun.
Nah, see, I got like a dungeon set up at the house. I'm a proud new owner of a home with a basement.
Sick.
Never had a basement in my life. Basements are tight. So I've got like the office is downstairs. As a former, I guess, day job owner of a 2-screen setup, once I ventured off to do my own thing, I was like, I got to have 2 screens the rest of my life. I'm too used to it now. So
You don't do the thing where you like turn one of them straight up, do you?
No, I'm not a day trader. So yeah, and then I've actually still working on it. Probably gonna do another project next year, but we had a huge space in the basement that I've turned into a theater room. So got the projector, and then got a couple TVs. So Saturdays are that's where I spend most of my time on Saturdays.
Sick, man.
So yeah.
So we got you guys here together, man, for a specific reason. And if you can't tell from Matt's shirt,
Yeah.
he's a Tennessee Vols fan, longtime fan.
Feels like 98 in here.
It's always 1998. I wish. I wish every year.
And our boy Zach Berry right here, he is a big Ole Miss fan. And so Ole Miss, they roll into Knoxville. They're playing Knoxville.
Did you say Old Miss?
Old.
No, OLE.
I said it wrong already. Old.
Ole Miss.
Oh, it's Old Miss for sure.
Hey, just don't
Ole Miss.
just don't say Mississippi or people get mad.
Yo, I saw that online the other day. Like when it's on ESPN, when it says your guys' scores, like I was looking at the Ole Miss score with Memphis, and it says Ole Miss, the little icon, then it said Mississippi.
Yeah.
Why do they do that?
I think it's like an aesthetic thing. Most of the time, ESPN will put Ole Miss. Like they'll have it where it's enough room, like the graphic, they can make it. But then I guess some people do MISS because I guess it's the University of Mississippi. But they always, in like the media guide and everything, they always say that they prefer you call.
And y'all's main logo is Ole Miss,
Yeah,
right?
it's like
there's
cursive
not like a
script.
T or a tiger from Missouri or whatever. It's
Yeah.
just
And that's the level of detail I'm looking for. I appreciate you correcting me on that. I'm saying Old Miss, bro. I can't do that. So I guess we'll start right there.
Okay.
How long have you been an Ole Miss fan? I mean, because your fandom, when I say fan, like that means a lot to you. 'Cause you do a podcast, all that. We can get into all that. But
Yeah.
So when did it start for you? Did you grow up an Ole Miss fan?
Yeah, so my dad is from Mississippi, and my mom is from Memphis, and just never thought to be a Memphis fan, football-wise, college football-wise, and my dad just being from the state of Mississippi, and his whole family, like that whole side of the family was all Ole Miss. And so just always was an Ole Miss fan. And then growing up in Memphis, it's just right down the road, so we could hop in the car, hour, 10, 15 minutes, and we were there. We'd go to games. And so I was actually the first person in my family, or I guess from my dad's side of the family, to actually go to Ole Miss. A lot of people either didn't go to school or went to community college. I guess the plan was for my dad to go there. So he went and played football at a community college in Mississippi that's essentially like a feeder school to Ole Miss, and ended up having too many concussions. And they basically, like, the doctor was like, you got to stop. Like, can't play any more football. And so my dad just was basically like, all right, well, I'm not going to Ole Miss anymore because I can't play football. So then he started working, and the rest is history. But, yeah, so that's where my fandom
And you
started.
played football in high school, didn't you?
Yep.
Did you play football in college?
I did not.
Okay.
Not.
But you were already a fan of
Yeah,
the sport.
yeah.
Did you play other sports too, or just football?
Yeah, played baseball. The only school.
Just in high school, or you played baseball in college?
No,
too?
just in high school. the only school that actually believed in me as a football player was the University of South, Swanee. Sent me a letter. That was it. It was too expensive. So
can I ask another question real quick? Step back to your dad. You said your dad couldn't play because of concussions. It must have been pretty severe because until recently, the seriousness around that. For them to catch that back then, it must have been pretty severe.
Yeah. So brief shout out to Coldwater High School down in Tate County. That's where my dad played. He was basically like the stereotypical, just like by any means necessary defensive player, like just body on the line, no regard for personal safety. He actually has the 2 helmets that he cracked in high school. He still has them.
Wow.
So yeah, he in high school, had a ton. He played quarterback too.
Okay.
So just running, trying to be physical. We'll probably get to that with Matt Corral and his style of how he plays quarterback with that edge. But yeah, and then he was on kickoff teams in junior college and just constantly just getting hitting other people. Yeah, I think it got to where they were like, no more.
Yeah.
You're done.
Breaking helmets.
Yeah.
It's wild.
So yeah.
So how did you get into, at what point, so you go to college, you go to Ole Miss. When did you start doing so tell us a little bit about, you have 2 podcasts that you do. What's, like, how did you get into that? And then kind of what are the differences there? Because I find it very interesting.
So going into college, so I remember like senior day or senior night for baseball. You go out with your parents. They, this is, infielder Zach Berry, his parents, blah, blah, blah. And they tell you, a little bit about your career in high school. And then they say, he plans on attending the school in major. So I knew I was going to Ole Miss. Had no idea what I was going to major in. So I was like, all right, what sounds cool? Like what will girls think is like cool? Like at senior night, or like
it all goes back to girls.
Oh, they'll be like, oh, this guy's smart. Like he knows what he's doing. So the first thing I thought of was I'd like literally just watched The Sixth Sense, and I was like, I'm gonna tell him I'm going into child psychology. Like that'll sound cool. I'll sound smart. People will be like, ooh, that's interesting.
Oh, and he loves kids. Look how sweet he is.
So then I did that, and then at the time, my mother was in pharmaceutical sales, and so I was like, I'm gonna go to pharmacy school. I'm gonna be a pharmacist. Went to the orientation, found out how long you had to go to school for that, and I was like, nope, not doing that. Yeah. And then I just took a journalism 101 class, thought it was interesting, and then just kind of went from there.
So were they talking? I mean, they wouldn't have been talking about podcasts.
No, not at all.
Well, how long ago were you in school? Like 13 years?
So I graduated college 2010.
2010.
So it wasn't around yet. But that was like my introduction to journalism. And so it was, I did broadcasts, and then I eventually graduated print. Because back then you had to pick a distinction. You had to pick broadcasts, like you want to be on the news or whatever. And then I was like, no, I'm going to be print. I'm going to be the cool, like, columnist that's always angry and pissing people
ends
off.
Ends up on PTI in the afternoons yelling at people.
Exactly, yeah. Woody Page. Woody Page is from Memphis.
Okay.
So, yeah, the podcast started, I do not remember which Super Bowl, but it was after the Patriots won. Was our first episode we ever did on Podcast Rebellion, which is the podcast that I do.
That narrows it down to at least 6.
Yeah.
No, it's 5.
It was
5, right?
2015.
Okay.
That was the year the year the Super Bowl was played. So I guess it was the 2014-2015 season. So I was writing for Red Cup Rebellion, which is a blog. It's a part of the SB Nation network. Settle down.
We just had a terrible moment.
Yeah, so that was like kind of when podcasts were getting popular. And so we were like, we need to do one. Like one, it'll be fun. It'll give us something to do. And then also people want to listen to people talk about sports. Like that's the whole thing about like drive time radio.
Yeah.
Like you want to be in the afternoon when people are driving home or, whatever. So that was the first night we recorded after that Super Bowl. And so it was me and Michael Borky. Shout out to Borky. He's in radio in Mississippi. And so we started the podcast then. And so, we've been going for, I guess, 6 years now, going strong. And it's been fun.
So what's the difference between your podcast Rebellion and the soft verbal.
So yes, soft verbal. So I also, I guess, full-time, I guess I split time between the two because I'm the managing editor at Red Cup Rebellion, and then for rebelgrove.com, which is part of the Rivals Network, I'm their recruiting analyst. So soft verbal is all recruiting, like all focused on that. So that's, man, we could do a whole nother show about the world of recruiting.
Okay.
It's
so when you were talking
vast.
about your first podcast, you gave yourself a title in that podcast. Like, have you guys assigned out different roles that you play in the podcast itself? Not necessarily meaning in the content of it, but you say what was it you just said? Editor or chief editor?
Oh, so that's for the actual website.
Oh, okay.
So we
I misunderstood that.
Yeah, so we do like writing stuff too.
Okay.
So I'm the managing editor, but yeah, so Borky went on to do full-time radio gig, and it was kind of like I guess he had like a non-compete clause, so he eventually had to part ways. But I've got a couple buddies who are Ole Miss alum fans that are my co-hosts. And so we've got a pretty solid schedule. We had to get real creative during the shutdown, during the pandemic, and that was fun too, just challenging to come up with different episodes and talk to different people. But, now during the season, I mean, it's like clockwork with what we do. We have a recap show. If we can make it work now with all of our schedules and, we're all married and kids and whatnot, we typically do what we call the Hangover Edition on Sunday to recap the win or the loss. And then do our best to have a guest from the opposing team during the week that we talk to.
Now, how hard is that to get?
Yeah, it's really not that hard. Most of the time people want to do it because it's a way for them to go and promote what they do. So it's kind of a cross-promotional thing.
So you guys do it, do you guys call in or do it over Zoom?
So now we use Zoom. Just Zoom is essentially the most consistent thing that I've discovered works well. And we just do audio. We don't really need, it's gotten to where now with me and my co-hosts, we did video a lot just because you could see the cues of like when somebody needed to talk. But we've kind of gotten like the cadence and like our timing down now to where we really don't need it. Like we're not talking over each other a ton. Because that's like the toughest thing about a podcast.
Really is
like being able to make your thought, clear, concise, but also giving the give and take is difficult. But
yeah, you guys have a really good cadence. I listened to that last episode. Is there a difference between your normal episodes and then the ones where you guys talk about the lines and the betting and?
Yeah. So that we call it the Legal Gambling Council, which is actually like literal and figurative because my two co-hosts and then the guy that joins us for that one, he's like our big time gambling guru. Like he gambles a ton. He'd probably tell you he gambles too much. But all three of my co-hosts are all they're all law school grads. So that's where the Legal Gambling Council, and that name actually was coined before you've got DraftKings, FanDuel, Caesars. We got all these apps now to where it's like so easy to do. So that was kind of like our joke of like, this is legal. Like it's all good. Like it's above board. But now you just go on your phone and throw away $100 really easy.
Yep.
Yeah, I dig it. You were talking about doing the podcast and learning and setting up shows and being creative and trying to figure out new ways to do things. I can definitely identify with that. I find that very, very interesting because no one tells you how to do it. There is no path, no right path that's going to get you specifically to like a, let's just say Joe Rogan because he's the top of the mountain, Like there's no path that tells you how you can get there personally. It's just, to me, when we started doing this, it was, hey, I want to have conversations with my friends. I feel like I want to have conversations that maybe I'm already having. Like I'm sitting in the office with you or whoever, and we're just talking anyway, and have honest conversation. And that was kind of my driving force. But I find it very interesting. I appreciate you sharing that because, everybody has their different little path, and you were doing it long before I did, and I didn't even know you were doing it. Like when I found that out, I was like, oh man, that's really cool. I've only met a couple people that have done it, I don't know.
It's cool. It's weird because I remember like when I first heard about what podcasts were and it was just something like I'd never thought to venture into. like leisure or professional. Like I was never like, oh, I'm going to listen to a podcast. And like now, honestly, I go through phases where like there's days when I'm just like, I just want to listen to some music. But most of the time, like all I'm doing is consuming podcasts.
Yep. So is that what you're doing full time now? Like,
yeah.
is that's your cool, man?
Yeah. So it's fun. I mean, and then the way that they've all evolved, I mean, now it's all about advertising. So getting advertisers on board is how you create the revenue. But, you know, it's something that, yeah, obviously money is nice. But, I mean, I love doing it. I mean, I was doing it before I was even making money from it. So that should tell you kind of.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of where I'm at now. Like, for me, you know, I say it all the time, even when I'm setting this up. I'm like, man, look at all this. I'm doing all this for like 10 views or 40 views or whatever. Yeah. But the thing is, for me, it's a creative outlet. Yeah. Where like 10 years ago, my creative outlet was after I get off work, I sell some records. Well, now that's my wife's full-time gig. Mm-hmm. You know, you put it's amazing, man, how like you put a little bit of effort into stuff and it grows. Yep. And so it's really cool for me to sit here and talk to you, and you're already further down the path. You know what I mean?
I saw this really. So there's I don't know if you've ventured into TikTok or not yet.
Dude, so when I watch TikTok, I will watch it and then I have to delete the app because it's straight up heroin. I can't stop.
So my wife will always tell me, she's like, your algorithm sucks. Because like my algorithm is like dudes like cooking food, like making, like preparing food with like quick cuts. Like I love that type of stuff where it's like these professional chefs that will have a camera over their like cutting board and stuff, and it will just be them. Like I watched this one this morning of this dude like making a fried fish sandwich, and it looked so delicious. We can cuss on the show, can't we?
Yeah, you. Okay. I can't.
It was fucking great. But like it's mostly like cooking.
I got Christian friends that watch my show.
Hey, you know, Jesus probably cursed. Who can say?
No, the thing. See, that's what the weird part about it is, bro. I'll cover this real quick, man. So I don't cuss in front of my wife, and the reason I don't cuss in this show is for that very reason. Like I don't cuss in front of my wife if she watches the show. I don't know, man. I just don't want.
That's fair. Yeah. I didn't know if you had.
No. I do. I explicit tag every one of them on purpose.
This is full,
just because I think it's hilarious.
Full circle, because on podcasts people will ask that a lot.
What?
Like, do you have an explicit tag on Spotify or iTunes?
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, see, we're learning from you, man.
Apple Podcast.
What you got, Zach?
yeah. So
I'm making a list over here.
Yeah, but so back to TikTok. So I don't even know where I was going with this. Oh, you know, you're talking about like doing it for fun, doing it for, you know, whatever. Like there's this guy on TikTok that goes around Atlanta and gives people free haircuts. Like just walks around the city and will just go up to someone like, hey man, like, you know, I'm a barber, giving out a free haircut. You want one? And so like basically he sets up shop, and while he's doing the haircut, he basically interviews them. And the dude's like a great conversationalist. Like he will talk and get people to open up while he's giving them a haircut. And he did one, the most recent video I saw was like this kid that was like 10, 11 years old. And the kid was talking about like the struggles of like moving to a new school, and like he didn't have any friends, and like there were people like picking on him because he was new.
What's it called?
His name is Vic. I'll
look it up.
Yeah, like sorry Vic, I can't give you a plug here, but
and it's on YouTube.
I mean, I'm sure it's on YouTube. Like he's on Instagram, TikTok.
Oh, you said TikTok. I'm sorry.
But like the kid said this thing, and it was like one of those where it was like wise amongst his, like beyond his years, where he was talking about making videos, and the Vic guy was like jokingly was like, you know, hey man, how many views you getting? And he was like, you know, not very many, you know, maybe like 15, 16. And he was like, hey man, like do what you love. And the kid was like, yeah, like my whole thing behind it is if I make this video or I put out this message, if the 15 people that see it, if it hits them, then that's like the best thing about it.
Vic Blends?
Yeah, that's
Is that it right there?
Yeah, that's him.
Vic Blends. Yeah. At Vic Blends. He's got 47 videos, 430,000 subscribers on YouTube. So, yeah, man. I mean,
send the check.
Yeah, I think that same thing, because the original reason why I started this podcast, and me and you've hit on it on the episodes that you've been here, is there's a lot of religious questions that I had, or problems that I had, that I felt like when I'm going to church, those questions weren't being answered, or people weren't having the depth of conversation that I wanted. And so that's why I started it. And so even from that perspective, for me, if 40, 50 views, whatever, or a friend or something hears something I say, a lot of times, like if it triggers a conversation on the phone later, like if me and you end up talking after this podcast and all of a sudden you're like, man, you remember when you were saying that right there, that one little moment of where it connected into something else, that's all I need. You know, like that's what I'm looking for is just to get, like us. I mean, Matt, you can tell us all about Tennessee here, but just we have 2 football teams that are going to play each other this Saturday. And we live in a country where it seems like half of the country can't talk to the other half of the country. And then here we are. Like, this is exactly what I was looking to do. You know what I mean? Like, have people.
Well, I didn't say I liked Ole Miss.
Old Miss? Did you just say old with a
old?
So, yeah. So, I appreciate you guys doing it. And, yeah, that's exactly what it's for, man. Like, Vic, whoever. You just want to say what you have to say. And then maybe somebody resonate. Maybe it resonates with somebody. Maybe it doesn't. But. Anyway, man, so
was your family like season ticket holders? Did y'all do that regularly? Did you go once a year or?
No, we didn't do season tickets. We'd probably, my dad and I, once I got older to where I was like really into going to games.
Yeah.
We'd probably do 2 or 3 home games a year.
Okay.
So it was never a huge deal.
So this is late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
Late 90s.
Yeah. So like I grew up. Basically, when I got into Ole Miss was like right around the time like Tommy Tuberville was the coach.
Okay.
And then, you know, I guess like my formative years were with David Cutcliffe and Eli Manning.
Yeah.
So a lot of good, a lot of bad, good mix, and that's how college was. I had Ed Orgeron.
Yeah.
And then I had Houston Nutt. So
it
was a mix.
Oh, I forgot all about Houston Nutt. Golly. I heard that Nebraska tried to get him at one point.
Hootie?
Yeah,
man.
Back before who was the dude before Scott Frost? Gary Anderson, I think it was who it was. In between Pelini and Anderson, I think was when they were trying to get him.
God, firing Bo Pelini was the dumbest fucking thing they ever did.
Yep,
it's insane.
They're still paying for that, and they
probably
will be for a while.
Can you imagine being upset that your coach goes 9-3 every year?
I can't.
I
know how that feels. Nebraska's had some. We've been a series of misfortunate events, but they've had some poorer decision making than we've had over time. So
and they still sell that place out.
Yeah,
every
it's packed.
Single game.
It wasn't last week, but was it the week before they had a home game, and it was like everybody hates Scott Frost. They're 3-3, whatever, 2-3, and it's just packed.
Oh, they had a chance to win that game too.
Yeah. Is it Michigan?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just bizarre. Like I haven't. So the only places in the SEC that I have yet to go to is College Station.
Okay.
And
understandable.
I've been to Lexington. Haven't been to a game.
You're not missing
Hadn't
much.
been to K. Roger.
You're
Field
not missing
yet.
much at Lexington.
Yeah. The town was nice.
Yeah.
Lexington was cool.
My memories of Lexington are before the SEC jumbled the schedule all over the place. We always played them 2 weeks to go in the season, right? We play Kentucky, then we play Vanderbilt. That's how the season's always ended. So my memories of Lexington were always in November. It's freaking cold. The sky's dreary, and Kentucky's bad, and we're going to beat them again.
They're not bad this year, though, are they?
They're not.
I saw that. I didn't know.
They're not, but they're
pretty good.
They're pretty good, but they've done this where they start off really well, and then things kind of go south.
They're getting humbled this weekend.
Yeah.
Who do they play?
In a big way? Georgia.
And so they were,
Georgia, it seems like they play defense with 15 people on the field.
Yeah, I saw an article on Athletic where they said that this could very well be one of the best defenses ever.
Yeah, your boy voted on that.
That's a lot of hyperbole to say, not knowing where these guys are going to get drafted and stuff like that. But, they are pretty good.
Did you see – what game was it? I think it might have been the Arkansas game. The clip of Jordan Davis running down the running back.
Mm-mm.
So Jordan Davis, I don't know his height and weight specifically. You've got a phone. You can probably look it up.
I left my computer over there. I'm going to jump the back of this couch and go get it because I think we're getting into that area where I'm going to have to look some things up.
But he is every bit of 6'6", 350. And, shed the center and the guard.
6'6", 330.
Yeah. and went and ran the running back down. Like, got lateral, ran the guy down. It wasn't the guy was, stuttering, trying to make a cut to cut back. No, like, he ran the guy down. That's terrifying.
Was he the dude in the Vanderbilt game that they interviewed him at the end of the game, and they were like, wow, y'all really took it to him? And he's like, I don't know, only played like 6 plays. He wasn't even out there when they crushed him.
I did not watch a second of that game. That was I can't believe. I can't believe how bad they beat them. But
I love to watch Vanderbilt lose, so I did watch part of that game. I did not watch the Arkansas game because that was an 11 a.m. game last week. I think that Georgia game maybe, and I was in Knoxville for the
South Carolina game.
So that was, what was our game last week? Oh no, we played Missouri last week.
No, y'all played South Carolina.
Well, we played South Carolina just this past week, but that game was, anyways. Georgia's pretty strong. They've got a very good team.
Yeah, I still have questions at quarterback, but now it's, I don't know, it's 1 week.
Yeah.
Bama's looking very mortal at this point.
They do.
Now it's also, did A&M really just go, there was literally it looked like it was from The Onion or something. There was a message board, this guy had this conspiracy of has Jimbo basically tricked everyone into thinking that A&M sucks so Bama will come in and not. And then
you cannot explain that game.
As the game was unfolding, people are like, "Oh, this dude's like Nostradamus, he's a genius."
Yeah.
I don't know. I still think that Bama's Bama.
Yeah.
This is where Saban is at his best.
Yes.
He gets an early loss, and then he just,
doesn't lose until another year.
He's going to whip their ass in practice all week.
Yeah.
And then Mississippi State's going to have to
and so
deal with pissed off Nick Saban.
We've got y'all, and then we've got Georgia next week, and then we've got Kentucky, and then we've got Alabama. My order might be mixed up there, but we've got the 4 teams in a row now. So
yeah.
4 of the best teams in the
Georgia's
SEC.
next week. So do you think there's – which I don't know.
We've got them at home.
Maybe they're going to be realistic enough to know that that's a long shot, but
sorry, I was mixed up. We were at Alabama. See, I usually forget the Alabama game. We just erase it, because it's why do I care?
That?
Why do I care? Why does anybody care about Alabama anymore? Yeah,
this
will be.
Oh, it's the 3rd Saturday, right?
This 4th. So it's no longer because the SEC jacked the schedule up.
How'd you take that?
I didn't care.
Okay,
when the conference expands, and if the pod thing happens, which a lot of people are talking about the pod thing.
It has to.
Yeah. When that happens, people are like, well, what's going to happen with, this team and this team? And I'm like, well, I don't really care what happens with Alabama. I'll take Kentucky.
Just get them the fuck away from me.
We'll take Kentucky, Vanderbilt, Missouri. Can I have those 3 in my pod?
Well, they're going to have to do it because geographically, East and West doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I would think Alabama, Auburn, probably. You'd maybe do LSU and Arkansas on that too. Be pretty tough, but they have to keep Alabama and Auburn together, And then
you'd think so, and then
you and Mississippi State have to be stuck together. Georgia and Florida have to be stuck together.
Who is Ole Miss's rival? Is it Mississippi State?
Mississippi State.
Yeah. Do you guys have another one too, or is it really just that?
So that's such a topic of contention with a lot of folks. So a lot of people will say, no, it's LSU.
Yeah.
Because back in the 50s and 60s, LSU was the rival because State sucked back then, and there were always big games. The 59 national championship Ole Miss team lost to LSU. That's the famous Billy Cannon punt return on Halloween. He won the Heisman. Ole Miss got revenge in the Sugar Bowl later. But I don't know. I've always said that's a geographic and an age thing. Because I grew up right down the road from Ole Miss, and Memphis is a pretty split town. A lot of Tennessee fans there, but it's a lot of Ole Miss people, a lot of Mississippi State people. So I was around Mississippi State a lot.
So is it kind of like Louisville in that regard, where you got some Kentucky fans, or are there any Kentucky fans in Louisville? Well, actually, I know there is because my mother-in-law lives there.
I'm sure there are. Yeah.
So I always said it was like a time and place type thing, depending on who you ask.
Yeah, that
if you
makes
ask
sense.
older people, they'll say it's LSU just because they hate Billy Cannon. And
well, what about Tennessee?
I mean,
is it similar to that? Because
I
now
would
that
say
Alabama
you would have
kills
to
you guys all the time.
I would have to consider regionally first, right? So like Vanderbilt's our rival. It's always going to be. Now, I mean, how seriously do we take that? Is a whole different discussion. But obviously it's Vanderbilt. I have a myriad of reasons why I hate Vanderbilt, having lived in Nashville my whole life and being a Tennessee fan. And then
Florida? Is Florida one too? Because
but then, yeah, for sure, is Georgia, Florida, and Alabama. Like those three too.
Well, I think the elephant in the room for me, maybe not the elephant, maybe more like the Judas or the snake in the room here. Like the one thing that I could not avoid when I was thinking about the conversation, and then you've already said something, and then I think there's a few things that are kind of orbiting this conversation. But Tennessee, in my opinion, growing up, I'm not a fan. Like my grandmother's a huge Tennessee fan. I'm just not a college football fan in general. And that's why I find this conversation really interesting between you two guys, because I grew up a pro football fan, and that's what my dad liked. And then Atlanta Braves. Go Braves.
Go Braves.
And then I stopped.
Big night last night.
Yep.
Yeah. And so anyway, I see Tennessee's football program in like the Philip Fulmer years almost kind of in the same light that I see Georgia's football team now. Like, am I wrong about that? Did Tennessee used to a lot of the time was –
And then we had the number 2 winning percentage in college football in the 90s. I mean, our team was unbelievable every year.
Nebraska?
Yeah, I think it's either Nebraska or I don't know.
Michigan maybe.
Yeah. And, we had, the 98 team, obviously. We're going to have to talk about that. But the 98 national championship team, I mean, there were some absolute – unbelievable football players on that team, as the best team we ever had.
Al Wilson.
And they're good.
And Al Wilson just got thrown in the College Football Hall of Fame last week. They had a ceremony for him at halftime.
Shout out Jackson Central Mary.
And so I grow up seeing that, right? Like that's my view of Tennessee growing up.
Oh, yeah.
Then Lane Kiffin comes to town after they fire Philip Fulmer. You could probably have a whole conversation about whether they should fire Philip Fulmer or not. I've heard that more times than I've ever wanted to hear it. But then Lane Kiffin comes, and when me and you were prepping, or we were talking about this, there was one comment that was made where you said, you were talking about the coach, and I said, but if Lane Kiffin had stayed, they would have gotten the recruits. And I meant it kind of in a way like John Calipari, or however, whatever, John Calipari, Perry. He, like the way he gets recruits. Like there's just a draw, there seems like, to Lane Kiffin. So my question is it too far of a limb to go out on to say that he is responsible, or at least was responsible for pushing it over the edge of your guys' fall?
No, didn't help, but no. Because
so what is that? Like, what really happened? What made Tennessee
I feel like backing up here is very important.
Go ahead.
I'm sure he's probably heard a ton about this. Tennessee's got a bad rap right now nationally, and it's understandable. It looks like an absolute cluster, to a lot of people for a lot of good reasons, But it all happens for a reason. There's a lot of stuff in the background for, why these things kind of happen. Not to say that, I'm in a booster club or I really, get to see the behind-the-scenes stuff, but, I mean, you hear enough things, So, Tennessee right now, number 11 college football all-time winning percentage. So, in terms of winningest programs, right now we're number 11. We were 10 when around the time Fulmer was fired. And we dropped down to 12. We got so bad, but somehow we've actually moved up to 11. I'm not really sure how that happened. Probably because of Nebraska. I don't know. We're always right there in Nebraska. But I've always had, a great football program. And, the 80s, generally my point of reference starts in the 80s, obviously, because I was born in 84. And, my parents, so let me back up here. My parents, they got married in the early 70s. And then they just decided to go to a football game in Knoxville. They live here and around Nashville, and they decided to go to a football game. So they go, and then they're like, all right, let's go to another one. So then they go to another one, and they liked it so much they bought season tickets. So then they started going season tickets mid-'70s. So then my brother's born in 79.
Were they dating or
No, they were married.
You said that.
Yeah, so then in 79, my brother's born, and then he's born in November, but then he starts going his very next year. So he's 1 year old, and he's going. I was born in August, so I'm going the year I'm born. So I'm literally in a stroller and a baby, and I'm going. So it is all I know in the fall is Tennessee football, Going to Knoxville. Hey, we're going to Knoxville. So, as I'm growing up, all I know is, loud stadiums, packed stadiums, a lot of cheers, a lot of victories, right? So we've got, Johnny Majors is our head coach back then. And, we're winning. We're 9 wins. We're 8 wins a year back then. I mean, I think he had one 10-win season, I think, maybe, early on. And then it was just kind of 7, 8, 9 around there. Which, looking back on it, that's an acceptable place to be. Like, you should be somewhat happy with that. But then, Johnny Majors had a guy on his staff named Phil Fulmer, who was a former player, who I think played for him. And he was an offensive assistant. He became an O-line coach and then kind of moved around there. But then Johnny Majors I believe he had a heart attack, if I'm not mistaken. He had a heart attack in 90. I think it was 1990. And then Phil Fulmer took over as the coach. So Phil Fulmer's the coach, and then we start winning with him as the coach. And then Johnny Majors comes back from his heart attack, and then we start losing. So, of course, everybody's like, well, what are we doing? What are we doing with Johnny Majors? He's a great football coach. I mean,
the dreaded interim finds lightning in a bottle.
Coach Orgeron. So it's like, you should be happy, with winning 8 or 9 games a year, but then somebody else comes along. So you see the pretty girl walk by, you want that. So Phil Fulmer takes over, and then, things just start getting better. Like, in Fulmer's defense, like, he was an awesome football coach, and he was a unbelievable recruiter. Like, his players loved him. They wanted to come play for him, especially the big men. And, obviously, in the best teams in football win in the trenches, and that's what he was best at, was bringing the best offensive linemen, the best defensive linemen to play at Tennessee. So, I mean, we had some, awesome players during his time. And then, the team is winning all the time. We struggle beating Florida and stuff like that. But anyways.
He kind of revolutionized recruiting.
Probably so.
Tennessee was one of the first programs to actually, recruit nationally. Because Tennessee, and I would assume you'd probably agree with me, it's a weird place geographically recruiting-wise.
Yes.
Because high school football in Tennessee is not super great. And then Tennessee has the issue of geographically they're around Georgia, Clemson, and I mean Florida kind of recruits. I mean they do recruit nationally now, but back then it was you had so many good programs in close proximity to where you're having to fight for really good players.
The same in basketball except north of there.
Right.
They're right on
Indiana,
the edge
Kentucky.
of where they should be for either sport,
Yeah.
Yeah, so
but yeah, that was always growing up watching Tennessee. And I was, being younger.
Yeah, was that really true? Tennessee high school football sucks.
It didn't suck.
I mean, it's just not. It's just not Texas. It's not California.
Yeah, it's never.
I mean, there's some really good. There's some really good programs. I mean, Maryville right outside Knoxville. Alcoa is a big. Nashville's got some really good
White
private
County.
School.
Hunters Lane,
Beach
High School. Where we at? Beach High.
Yeah,
They were good.
Shout out to Jalen Hurd.
Yeah.
That's where we were.
But yeah, I mean, it was always weird to me, growing up and not understanding what recruiting was. Obviously, when I'm 12 years old, but I would, watching Tennessee play and then see there's a guy on the team from California, and I'm like, how did that guy get to school at Tennessee? That's so far away. But yeah, Fulmer was great about.
And we made a run at some Hawaii guys at some point, towards the end of his tenure.
Man, that's somebody just trying to get a vacation. Man, there's a dude out in Hawaii, man. We want to go check him out.
Hey.
Big Samoan kid. Yep. We're going to go out there and check it out.
Worse places to go.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
They didn't go get him from Idaho.
Yeah. And then it worked so well that they were like,
Boise.
man, we need to get one kid from Hawaii every year, guys, so we can go out there.
I hit that quota.
That's what they did.
Yeah.
No, I don't even mean it like that. I just mean so they can get a free trip to go out, like a free business trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go check. We're gonna go check this kid out in Hawaii.
But I mean, it was also, it kind of worked hand in hand where Tennessee could recruit nationally because they were a national brand. They were winning, ton of booster support, ton of money, and I mean back then, if you were good and you were from Tennessee, if Tennessee wanted you, you were going to Tennessee.
Yeah.
There was no I might go to Bama, I might go to Ohio State. No. If Philip Fulmer wanted you and you were from the state of Tennessee, yeah.
I mean, Memphis is a pretty decent.
They weren't going to
option
Vanderbilt
even now,
let's put
don't
it
you
that
think?
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, back then, you weren't having to compete with other SEC schools for kids. Like,
see, man, I think the opposite on Vandy though. I think it's almost genius to go play for Vandy. Like if you were a guy who was pretty good, but you were just kind of tired of it, and you wanted to get a really good education, you know what I'm saying? And you go to Nashville, you're hanging out in Nashville, pretty decent selection of co-eds, whichever way you go, and
and you're getting a good football, which gets you drafted though. That's the only
but what I'm saying, But like, if you didn't care about that and you were a pretty smart kid and you just wanted to continue to work out, get free clothes,
on the other hand,
low expectations.
With the
you dig what I'm saying?
With the NFL now, I kind of feel like if you're good, they'll find you.
They'll find you now, yeah.
Now, you got to be really good because playing in the NFL is hard. And, they all say the NFL, it's not for long. It's the not for long league because it's hard to play in the NFL for a long time.
I think the average player is 3.5 years right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's physical, it's a business, all that. But yeah, I was actually talking to a former player that played at Vandy. He was there when James Franklin was there, and he was, I was telling him, man, like I've talked to people all the time that are like, man, if Vandy would just like go all in and just invest heavily in their football program. With how Nashville's growing and how everybody wants to go to Nashville, like, dude, like they could do something cool with that.
Vanderbilt is just it's probably always going to be that way because of who runs the school.
I'll say they don't invest. They don't care.
No, they don't. Yeah, and see, Franklin fought them to get just a new practice facility, just the practice facility, and he fought them and he finally got it approved in his last year and then he left.
Yeah, I think they like just finished it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, I think they're fine with just being a really good baseball school because, I mean, they got it. Fish in a barrel with that, with the scholarship
See, I think
situation.
even when Corbin leaves, whenever that is, no time soon, I'm sure, when he's gone, if the next guy comes in and he's not working out, they'll just leave him because I think that's just the way they treat everything athletically. They're just not.
It's such a – and like talking like strictly football, I've said for years – that Vandy should go get a guy from a service academy or a really good FCS school that runs the option.
Like Nia Matololo or something like that.
Just make it just an absolute that week preparing to play Vanderbilt just sucks because you got to prepare for the option.
Triple option.
Nobody runs it. And it's just like that. And like that would just like I think would help level the playing field just a little bit. Now you're going to still lose to the Bamas and the Georgias and the the teams that are bigger, physical, more physical, faster.
But I like where you're headed with that, though. Like, if you're going to lose, y'all better be out there throwing laterals, fake punts. Like, just be that. I mean, I like that.
I mean, South Carolina ran 3 trick plays on us.
Yeah, I mean,
but if you do that as like a playing card, like you got to go play Bama in a couple weeks. Hey, we throw these trick plays, then they're going to have to practice for that. I mean, do teams prepare like that?
Well, I mean,
is it chess at that level?
Can be.
The most well-prepared teams probably do. Like, I'm sure Saban runs something like that in his practices. Yeah,
it's just such a difficult thing to prepare for. Now, it would be like a full-on 2 to 3 year process because you got to recruit certain players for that to be able to block up front. You got to recruit certain running backs to run the option. You got to recruit a certain quarterback. Now, I mean, Tennessee's had some. I mean, Keenan Reynolds, the guy that set all the records at Navy, went to Good Pasture in Nashville. So I mean,
Church Christ School.
There's schools, high schools in Tennessee still run the option. So I mean, like it's at home. That's how you recruit. You build something to where it's like, hey man, stay at home and like be part of something different, be a part of something unique, to where like you're not getting the best athletes, but you've got dudes that are right down the road that are already doing what you want to do. I don't know. I've just said that makes a ton of sense because they're already challenged enough as it is where not only do you have to recruit players to compete in the SEC, but they got to be able to get into your school.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they don't budge on that. Like, Stanford doesn't budge on that. Notre Dame, it's always been the biggest thing with Notre Dame that people don't really understand. And, I mean, that's a ton of credit to Brian Kelly with how he's been so successful there. You got to get into Notre Dame. Yeah. There is no like, well, you run really fast and you're really strong, so we'll make an exception. Like, no, like you get the admissions process is the same for everybody.
That's crazy.
It feels like they just somehow have the capital on the academic recruiting, like at that level where you have to have what you're talking about with admissions. Like, if you've got a guy that could get into Northwestern or Vanderbilt, but then Notre Dame wants him, he ends up at Notre Dame.
Well, I mean, does some of that have to do with like Catholic ties or any of that? Like just wanting to be there?
I'm not sure that it does.
Probably not.
I'm just curious.
I mean, the name cachet of Notre Dame is heavy.
Yep.
I mean, that might be the school that had the best winning percentage in the 90s. I mean,
yeah, we beat them twice in the 90s.
People forget.
Yeah.
I mean, like Notre Dame's a huge deal. I mean, they've been that's the thing is like I don't think they'd be such a big deal in the game if they weren't so successful.
They seem kind of like a Florida State to me. Like I've never understood why people jack off to Florida State.
Well, I mean, they were number 3 or 4 in the 90s.
So they were okay. Maybe that's why then.
Yeah, I mean,
but since Bowden's left, I mean, it's almost like Florida State has just become what Florida State should have been the whole time.
You had the one splash year with Jimbo.
Yeah.
With Jameis
and even
Winston.
then, it was just. I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, Florida State. No offense to them, but I mean, it's not. To me, it's not the nicest place in Florida.
No,
it's really not.
Not nice.
Yeah, and if you want to play in Florida, like you're going to go to Florida. Like you're going to do SEC. I think them being
or Miami,
them being in the ACC hurts them. I think it's.
Miami's a weird job. I talk to a lot of people that know way more than me about college football and like the whole structure of the sport. And not everybody. There are a lot of people that say like the U, like the years of the U, like not even like the 80s with like Uncle Luke and Two Live Crew, like the 90s and like the early 2000s. Like a lot of people say it was like an anomaly.
Yeah.
That they were able to get that many good players. And obviously they were, now everybody cheats in recruiting, full disclosure. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, they were doing it pretty sloppy and got caught. But, I mean, Miami's a private school. It's in Coral Gables. It's South Beach. But I feel like a thing that's hurt a lot of the Florida schools is obviously a ton of high school talent there. Mm-hmm. But just everybody recruits Florida. So, like I was saying with Tennessee back in the day, where if you were good and you lived in Tennessee, you went to Tennessee and you played for the Volunteers. Now, if you're in Florida and you're good, you're not – you didn't grow up a Florida State fan. You didn't grow up a Gators fan or a Hurricanes fan. Like,
I think
you're looking everywhere.
I think that's what did a number to Georgia in the 90s and early 2000s was us in Georgia. Like we had Georgia. Even Dooley had Georgia when Dooley was there.
Oh, I mean, you go back and look at the roster for Tennessee teams. I bet you a ton. It's so much Georgia.
Yeah, and now of course that has fallen away somewhat as Kirby Smart's there, and we've gotten a little off the bend with recent coaching hires, but
now,
pretty good. They're working with a pretty solid payroll in Athens.
Yeah.
Have there been any changes to recruiting since the paid players, since the pay has come into the picture for the players?
I'm sure there's
is that any different?
Like NIL?
So when you were, I guess, not knowing from an ignorant perspective, not knowing really how the pay works for the players now, and not really knowing how the recruiting process has changed. I guess my question is, has the pay being introduced changed the recruiting process or what you were saying when you were saying everybody cheats? Like, I don't see how people could cheat now if they're going to if payers can ultimately make money.
I mean,
like, does that solve that? Or
basically now it's legalized cheating. I mean, if a kid really wants a deal, you can make it happen. I'll say this: the most of the prospects I talk to have not even considered it or haven't even thought about it.
What, the pay?
Yeah, I mean, I'll ask them like.
So how does that work? Can you explain that to me? Because I don't know.
I mean, it's just
like they can accept sponsorships. They can or literally the school can go. It can get to the point where the school can go, okay, look, we would be willing to give you $1 million.
The school can't be a third party in it. But,
can't involve.
But, a booster gets to go to the local Taco Bell and say, hey, listen, I need this kid. Will you sponsor him? And then, Yeah.
So they could use alumni. They could use, okay.
Yeah, let's say, I own a jewelry store. And I want to, give an NIL deal to somebody.
Like the school may contact you and go, hey, we got this kid that we're really trying to bring on. Yeah. Would you consider?
Absolutely.
Like, can they broker that deal or?
Yeah, you find some kid that,
Or is that breaking the rules?
I mean, there's just gray areas everywhere.
I think as long as
nobody. Understand my question though?
I think as long as nobody knows the coach is contacting the jewelry store, it's fine. But the school cannot give the kid money. Ole Miss cannot give the running back money. But a coach can text the local jewelry store and say, "Hey, listen, will you,
So what made it
talk to this
possible?
kid?"
Is there like a rule that they changed, or like that makes it actually possible?
Yeah,
for them to give them
it was a way for the NCAA was getting a ton of pressure on. I mean, for years they've just been making money off the backs of players. I mean, these college players that are super successful college athletes, and not just football, just every sport, making a ton of money for the university and not getting anything. Now, if I feel like the NIL is a way to help out, the 3-star corner or like the walk-on kicker, whereas the 5- and 4-star prospects, especially football, those guys are already getting paid. I mean, if we're keeping it real, like those guys are getting paid. Mm-hmm. So this is a way for other guys to create your own merch.
Now, when you say that, would it be similar to what you were talking about before, where they would have boosters or other people?
Yeah.
Hey, man, here's some new shoes. Hey, I want to help you out. Like, is that what it looks like? And I'm genuinely just asking. Like, is that what it?
I mean, like when it gets down to like recruiting battles, like these schools it's a bidding war.
Okay.
And that's what it is. But yeah.
It's the Cam Newton bag.
Yeah.
Throw it out the window. Throw the laptop out the window.
Yeah.
Was that him?
Yeah, at Florida, he threw the laptop out the window.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I don't know. I didn't know. I knew that players could get paid now.
Yeah.
But I didn't know how that worked.
Which is great. I mean, I love it. I mean, I think
there was just too much money in it.
Yeah, and I mean, when you're selling jerseys and the kid gets nothing.
You can't sell your jersey. Like the kid, like A.J. Brown, sells his jersey and he gets in trouble at Georgia. It's like it's his.
Like
no,
now?
That's what happened to him when he was at Georgia. Like he sold his jersey and he got in trouble for it.
Like what? He just have some made?
I think no, it was his that he played in, and he signed it and he sold it, and I believe that's why he sold it. Sat out that bowl game that year or something like that. So it's like,
gotcha.
Yeah.
I mean, it's. I don't know. I mean, I think it's great. I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't. I mean, I think the players should be paid anyway. I mean, they already are, but I mean, give them something.
And there's a lot of pressure on them, those poor kids. Like
that's what we were. I was talking about with somebody last week. I'm sure you've seen the video of I can't remember his name, the kicker for A&M.
Yeah.
The video of his family watching him kick it, and like their reaction.
Yeah.
And there was somebody that was like, "Can you imagine being the parent or like a sibling of a SEC kicker? Like if he had missed that kick, like they'd have been getting death threats."
The things they would hear in the stadium at that time too, like when I was growing up in the 90s and 2000s, like you're yelling at players and saying stuff because you don't know any better, But now it's like, man, I mean, everywhere, if Coral has,
don't you think that happens in high school too, though?
Yeah, but I mean, do you remember our quarterback's name when we were,
I was there for girls.
Nah, I mean,
but even then, I mean, if Hendon Hooker has a great game, everybody's probably patting him on the back saying, "Yeah, man." And then if he starts to do bad, like nobody wants to talk to him,
Yeah,
it's just a life lesson there.
So with that being said, if they're there as part of the product, even though they may not look at it that way, they just want to play football still. I mean, it's a lot of pressure on them,
I couldn't help it when I was studying up for this. I was watching a lot of film, and it's completely a different game than the NFL, and it really is. Some schools play a closer to NFL style, obviously, than others. But when I was watching that Arkansas Ole Miss game, or no,
last week,
the 100-point game.
No, there was one of the games that I was. No, it was Green Bay, and the one with like the 50 kicks. I texted you.
Green Bay, Cincinnati.
The doink.
Yes.
Game.
Okay, that is college football to me. Like that's the closest.
That's not
that
normal
I've
football.
Seen.
That
No, it's
game.
not.
Hashtag college kickers.
Yeah. But like to your point, I mean, think about how young some of these kids are.
Yeah.
And then you're putting them in a situation where you're sending this kid out there. He's 20.
Yeah.
In front of more people than are at NFL stadiums. And you're going, hey man, kick that ball through the. Yeah. That's crazy.
Well, there's 5 rookie quarterbacks this season, I think, in the NFL now, after Trey Lance just had to start for San Francisco. So, I mean, they're getting paid really well,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, there's a certain point where I think your brain's just like, I'm just going to play ball.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Does it bother you guys? You've probably seen this a lot. Does it bother you guys when you see people that are team jumpers? So in Tennessee, since Tennessee sucks or has sucked for a while, sorry to anyone listening to that for me to say that out loud, but it seems to me that there are people now in Tennessee that have slowly migrated over to Alabama.
Oh, you're talking about the fans?
Yeah,
like
bandwagon. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, like what's up with that?
Whatever.
I mean, I get it where it's like, I've done similar things where I root for Tom Brady. I genuinely just like him as an athlete now.
Yeah.
And I think it's cool to watch him play, all that. But I will like him. But what I won't do, it's funny to me that there are people that live right here by me that root for Alabama, and it's like, dude, we're in Tennessee. That's always been a little weird to me.
Well,
but I guess now that people
when Saban's gone, will they still have the flag out there?
Yeah, I mean, people move and people live. Work takes you certain places. I mean, I've always
I get that. I guess the essence of my question is more like what he said.
So you're saying,
how many people are just fans because they're winning?
I've experienced this to a T. Like I worked for a place called the Tennessee Sports Fan. Do you remember that place?
Yeah.
It was in Rivergate and Opry Mills. I worked for this place. That was my first real, well, not my first real job, but my second real job, and I was there for about a year. Yeah, and that was 2001, so that would have been 3 years after the championship. Like, we're still good. Jason Witten's on the team. We've got tons of NFL stars. And then, things start to go so poorly, like even that place closes. But that place closes because people stop buying Tennessee stuff. And then you stop seeing all the orange everywhere. And, I get it if people don't wear the orange as much because we're not as good as we were in the 90s. Like, that's fine. I get it. But I think if you're going to jump ship and start pulling for another college and start wearing red and stuff like that. College to me is different. If it's professional football, I can understand.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're a Baltimore Orioles fan or a Pittsburgh Pirates, probably even a better example. If you're a Pittsburgh Pirates fan, at some point you've got to think to yourself, why do I like this team when they're always bad? Their ownership clearly doesn't care. We keep trading players away. We don't sign free agents. I think I might just start to pull for the Seattle Mariners or something.
Maybe they're just a fan of infrastructure.
Yeah.
Because PNC Park's great.
Yeah, that's true.
But that's it.
Yeah. It's a beautiful stadium. But even then, at some point, I mean, the Orioles is kind of a good example too. Like, it's kind of questionable, what investment's really there too. And, at some point it's like,
it's an organization that's rumored to possibly be relocating to Nashville.
Oh, that'd be great.
Because the city doesn't.
Baltimore Orioles?
Yeah, because nobody.
You know that the sound stadium down there is actually built. It doesn't. It's built to accept more stands.
I hope they don't do that though. I'd rather than build.
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like if we're
I might buy season tickets.
I feel like
baseball.
if we're gonna get a
that
baseball,
might bring me back to baseball.
That'd be dope.
I quit because of the strike. I was going to say that earlier, but I didn't. I did. Yeah, same situation like where
Man of the people.
No, yeah. Listen, so I'm serious. So the same as he was saying that he grew up on Tennessee, like my dad grew up. I grew up on Atlanta Braves baseball and Dallas Cowboys football.
And in the 90s,
that was life.
were.
And both of them were sick.
Yeah, that's a 90s.
Dude, I have the Sports Illustrated
right
mint condition in my bathroom in there right now with the address of the house I grew up in of the Sports Illustrated of the Atlanta Braves winning the World Series. Like them piling on each other, Greg Maddux, all that. Yeah. I remember all that. I love it.
Back at Fulton
Then
County.
they struck, and my family never watched baseball again.
Yeah. Well, anyways.
That's a great point about pro teams and how it's like,
it's a business.
Why are you going to be a fan of a shitty team if you have no ties to it? Where like it's college, I'm always going to be an Ole Miss fan because I graduated from there.
College is, college football now is a business, but at some point it kind of wasn't. And, it feels like it's more personal. I mean, that's why, like, going to a college football game at Neyland Stadium. Have you been to Neyland Stadium before? Okay, so, especially when it's good. Like, it got pretty loud on Saturday with South Carolina that I haven't heard in at least 3 or 4 years, COVID included. So, it's when you have 102,454 people with you and you care that much about what you're seeing, like Dallas Cowboys Stadium cannot get that loud. I don't care how good they are or who they're playing. They're playing the Eagles,
and they serve beer there.
Well, they do now.
So everybody's like, No, they serve it at college now?
They do
now.
Yeah.
For real? When did they do that? See, man, that's why I got to have you guys here. I don't know this stuff.
Last year,
was COVID the first
maybe
year?
it was COVID, or at least Ole Miss. Oh yeah,
I know that some schools were a year ahead.
So they sell beer right now.
Yeah, you're right.
Yes.
Right.
And,
they have like a restriction.
Actually,
is anything
speaking
weird?
of that, they had to add drink stands at Neyland Stadium because they didn't have enough. So the lines were so freaking long at Neyland Stadium. The first pit game that they had to add more beer stands, and even then they were still wrapped 3 sections around.
Hey, people love beer and football, man. What do you mean?
Dude, I mean, it's so like Ole Miss. I guarantee you they implemented it because they constantly had to battle people leaving to go back to the Grove.
Yeah.
So like if you're not familiar, so the Grove is like an acre. I should know it because I'm a fan, but I don't. It's just a huge plot of land with oak trees where people put tents up and tailgate.
It's awesome.
And so it was
a really cool.
You're talking about, is it down at Ole Miss?
Yeah.
Right outside stadium.
And even when Ole Miss was good, people would go for the first half, and then maybe midway through third quarter, bounce, go back to their tent. You know, they got a TV there, they got their own booze, food, and then you just post up and just chill for the rest of the night before you go to the bar. So they were having to deal with people, especially when Ole Miss wasn't good. People would leave. And so I guarantee you they were like, if we start serving freaking high noon seltzers in here and Bud Light, Miller Light, whatever people stay. Because that's what happens.
Well, people have probably been drinking in there for years, for sure.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
and they weren't making any money off of it.
Smuggling in a flask or,
Oh, yeah. I mean,
it ain't that
at the end of the game, under all the bleachers at Neyland, you can see the little Jack Daniel bottles. And
I can tell you how to do it. It's not that hard, bro, right?
A buddy of mine in college had the best thing. He had a pair of binoculars.
You just unscrew the top.
It was just a flask.
Killer.
So
perfect.
So now, I mean,
that's just freedom. That's just a bald eagle wrapped in an American flag.
So yeah, I mean, it's like now, like it keeps people in the stadium.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I mean, it's great, and it makes school money.
Yeah.
Everybody wins. Everybody gets drunk, and you make money. Perfect. So, are you going on Saturday?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll be there. Yeah. Where are you in the visitor section? Did you buy with the team?
Oh, look, he smacked you down a little bit right there.
Section Y8.
So you're over there. You're over there with the rest of the Ole Miss fans.
So that hits on a very interesting point that you said a minute ago. So you have been to game, like you guys travel for this stuff.
Mm-hmm. We don't anymore.
Well, I know your parents, like growing up, knowing you, like your parents, y'all would go to bowl games, everything.
We didn't have. Like back then, we had season tickets to the whole thing. Like
so that
was a part of the package.
Away games and everything?
It was 2 separate things. You would buy the tickets for the home games, and then you could choose the away package. And then Ole Miss, Georgia, Kentucky, they allot so many tickets. So, for example, the game this weekend, South Carolina, they didn't have a good showing with their fans. By the way, it was kind of disappointing. They're usually a lot more than that. I know they're not good, but
I think there's something to that with COVID, though, man. And I don't. I think people just want to be at home.
I think it's probably discouragement on their part from not being good since Spurrier left.
Because
I think so.
Have you ever been to Williams-Brice?
I haven't. I've seen it from the outside, but I haven't.
I was going to say it's a lot like Nebraska.
Yeah, it's big.
Where like every game I've ever gone to there, it's a huge crowd.
Yeah, and their last home game was not a good showing either.
And I was going to say that was surprising because South Carolina has a huge alumni base in Nashville.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's actually kind of what I was wanting to ask you guys is since you guys have been so experienced with it for so long, have you ever sat and thought about how many stadiums you've been to, or do you have any cool stories about like, hey, there was a stadium, then they tore it down, kind of like old Yankee Stadium type stories? Well, like you're talking 30-something years now.
We used to play Arkansas in Little Rock. That's where they used to have their games.
War Memorial.
Yeah, and that stadium sucked. They had those metal bleachers, and so there's the metal bleachers, curving around the edge. We always sat in the corner. It was kind of curving around the edge. But then below the metal bleachers, they had a metal bleacher walkway that you stood on and walked, and you had to walk on it because underneath it was just sheet metal going straight down. So if you dropped something, it was all the way down row 1. Stadium sucked. But now, of course, their stadium in Fayetteville is pretty nice. So
have you been to a game at every SEC school? I mean, I guess which ones are you missing?
I'm missing a lot now with Texas A&M and Missouri in the conference. I still haven't been.
Well,
there.
I wouldn't include. I was about to exclude those two.
Yeah,
but.
I mean, I haven't been to Florida. I'll probably never go.
Oh,
I have
man.
no.
You've never been to Gainesville?
No,
That surprises me,
I
man.
have no interest in going there.
Ever?
Yeah.
Like your parents never said, "Man, let's go." You just don't want to
No,
walk in there with that shirt on, or what?
They had bad experiences, and their friends had
Like
bad
people being
experiences.
douchebags, or what?
Being pretty awful. Having cups of urine.
Catch these
thrown on
hands,
you.
bro. Catch these hands.
Gainesville's
Y'all don't know me. I'm from
Gainesville's a low key nice college town in my opinion.
Gainesville's fun. Gainesville's a lot
I
of
used
fun.
to go for work all the
Yeah.
time. I like it.
I love it.
Food scene's really great.
You know something that's really cool? I mean, like them or hate them, but the thing that they do.
The rivalry is too deep for me to go.
I get it.
I want to go down there.
When they sing Tom Petty's song, "Don't Back Down," do they do
Yeah.
that every game now?
I'm not sure.
Or is that
Yeah,
just
I actually wanted to bring that topic up to get your thoughts. Because like that's like a thing in college football is like the fourth quarter hype song. So
it's
like
really cool. It's a really cool thing.
So I mean, I don't know if it's an action. I don't
It's
know.
a way better vibe than the Joe Biden thing.
Yeah, that's or the what is it? What's the new thing now?
I like the positive vibe of "Don't Back Down."
Let's go, Brandon, or whatever the hell all these idiots are doing because they're still sad. I don't
So
know
you really did think that was something you thought up? The
Yeah,
Don't Back Down?
so-
What is it? What's interesting?
Well, so Ole Miss has been trying to come up with like a fourth quarter hype song. So like Wisconsin,
They probably shouldn't do "Song of the South," Alabama. Probably
Alabama does that.
They do that.
Yeah,
That song.
they do Dixieland Delight.
Which is about Tennessee, by the way.
Yeah, which has always been so stupid.
Every Tennessee fan
No,
always
this is a
goes,
killer
that
topic.
song's about Tennessee.
Let's talk about this music involved here. I dig this.
So I love. It's like that's what you talk about. The word you used was great, and I think like nails college football. It's personal, like it's like a religious experience for people, where like you grow up on it. Because like especially like in the South, where like you don't really have a ton of professional.
It just
football
means
teams.
more in the South,
literally and figuratively.
Yeah, we didn't have. I
So
get
like,
that.
so like, I mean, I went to every home game when the Titans, or I guess back then with the Oilers, when they were briefly in Memphis. Went to every game. Was like all in. Like, man, it's so cool. We got a pro team, and then they bailed in Nashville, which I get. So
Yeah.
whatever, no hard feelings.
Wasn't that the plan all along though?
I think so. And
I think they were just stopping in Memphis to play.
Well,
I think it was part.
They were choosing. They weren't choosing at the time, but there was always they were playing because what's the owner's name? Bud Adams. He was, owners are really good at against playing cities against each other, but he was playing Memphis and
you're
Nashville
gonna bid
against each
to
other.
see who wants
Yo,
it.
and
Yeah,
part of that was
yeah.
their mismanagement. I swear, I watched a documentary on that. Part of that's the mismanagement of that pyramid too. They kind of fumbled that, and the city. That's a whole podcast. But that city has had issues that you know about and I know about, and we could talk about that for hours. So when you're choosing between,
Wait, are you saying that people who are in charge of the city of Memphis are not good at what they do?
that's exactly what I'm saying. No, what I'm actually saying is historically,
Yeah.
they are not good.
Well, I don't.
King Willie and everybody.
Yeah, I was gonna say shout out to Harrington.
King
family.
Willie and them.
I don't think it was ever going to work because Memphis is a basketball town. That's why the Grizzlies work
Grizzlies
so well
do
there.
well.
When the Memphis Tigers are good at basketball, that's one of the more fun things to do.
Yeah.
Like when Memphis is churning, like when Calipari had them rolling, Derrick Rose.
Have you guys been to games at? I don't know. Have you been to a game at Memphis?
No.
I have been to a game.
I
at
grew up
Memphis.
going to games at the Pyramid.
That surprises me, man.
Oh, I mean, Are we still talking NBA or football?
No.
'Cause I've been to the Liberty Bowl.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking.
I was there
Oh.
for the '97.
Yeah,
Tennessee
that was
game.
actually about to surprise the
the
heck out of me.
kickoff return that
The
the
Liberty
guy was down on.
the Liberty Hole.
Yeah, that stadium sucks.
Dude, I think the Stones have played there and everything. Memphis is cool, dude.
Mid-South Coliseum has got some bona fides. The Beatles were there. Elvis.
Yeah,
Pretty sure the Stones were there.
Yeah.
But going back to so we're talking music, and that's a great segue there by you, Craig. But so like Wisconsin's famous, like they play jump around in the fourth quarter, and the whole stadium jumps.
Tennessee, they just do the?
Just more Rocky Top.
It's just for the 112th
Hey,
time they play Rocky
Look,
Top.
look at my arms right now, goosebumps. Do you
For
know
what?
why?
Because of Rocky Top.
Yes, look, doing it again. I swear, I don't know what it is about that, dude. That song.
Now the song, I
Look,
love.
it's still doing it. Look,
I
I'm not
love
lying.
the song,
There's a.
but when it's played in Neyland, it
It is.
hits different
So,
in a bad way.
It
for
is. It's one of the best experiences a human being can ever have.
So like I think being from Tennessee, and this is what when you guys are saying it means more. Like I really do feel the tie-in to the school, like it's part of our state. I get that cultural tie-in. I'm just not a fan. I'm not a fan like him. I think part of it too is like I know you, and he's a huge fan. So it's like
I mean,
So like if you Google like fourth quarter college football songs, because there's so many, like, different stadiums have traditions. Like,
but there is nothing like, I would say those songs to those people probably have a similar experience to what I'm trying to describe with this Rocky Top thing. When I hear Rocky Top, it's like, that's where I'm from. That's friggin' Cracker Barrel. That's like folks. That's the people I go to church. That's Rocky Top, dude. That's Tennessee.
You know,
like, it's not just y'all's song. Y'all know that, right?
Church.
Like, that's what I'm saying.
Church.
Well,
like, this is our state, but it's cool that it's cool that y'all keep it going and that they tie it in and that's part of it. Like, I really do love that. I'm not making fun of it at all.
You know, Virginia Tech's entrance when they come in as Enter Sandman.
Is it?
And it's awesome,
dude.
Let's do this.
You need to
I don't want to
watch
see
that.
it. Enter Sandman, Virginia
That gives
Tech?
you goosebumps, and you're not from
So
Virginia.
what are some others?
you know?
What's Vanderbilt? Like Loser or something? I'm a loser, baby. So why don't you kill me? Think about it, Vandy.
I mean,
you should do that one.
I'm trying to think. So, like, everybody hates. So, like, Ole Miss people are like, we gotta get something cool, because they will play like "I Saw the Light," and then everybody does the flashlight on their phone. And I get it, like, it's catchy.
Yo, I didn't hurt your feelings on the Rocky Top thing, because I really meant it as I really love it. I love it. I love it. I do.
So we were asking people, like, what
do y'all do? What does Ole Miss do?
So I was gonna say, they play like "I Saw the Light," and okay, cool song, like everybody does the flash on their phone, but that doesn't get people hyped.
That's a little weak.
But like the fourth quarter hype song has got to be.
I need to play like "Money for Nothing" or something just wild.
Yeah, like it's got to be a perfect
Look
marriage.
Look at them yo-yos. That's the way you do it.
It's got to be a perfect marriage of a really catchy song, but one that people can sing along to, like a song that everybody knows.
And surely there are plenty of like rap artists from Mississippi that they can find something.
Yeah, don't back down, Gainesville. That's the best one right now.
So
I swear, I need to see this Virginia Tech Enter Sandman.
Dude, it's insane.
Was it 2 years ago they opened with Ohio State and they almost beat them, and that was like their best.
Oh, it's incredible.
Does Ohio State have anything like that?
I'm sure.
I mean, you can look it up. I mean,
most schools, Tennessee included.
Because I'm drawing a blank, actually.
I'll look it up.
We have our band comes on the field. They play a particular beat. They walk back and forth, and then they make the tee and play Rocky Top. Open the tee as the team comes out. Most schools don't, at least in an opening, don't do something the band doesn't play. You know, like them doing Enter Sandman is kind of rare for an entrance.
Do you think they have to license that?
I mean, I'm pretty sure that Metallica's been cool with it, which is hilarious with all the issue with them.
Do you remember the third down for what?
Here's what
we had to stop that because of that.
Because Little John?
Yeah.
God, what an asshole!
I know. He was so cool about it at first, but
I mean, I always thought, like, what was it, 2 years ago with Mo Bamba? Like how everybody just played Mo Bamba.
Yeah.
Like, I always thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
My submission for the fourth quarter hype song is "Don't Stop Me Now" by Queen.
Okay.
I feel like it's a great song. Most people know it, and if you don't, you can figure it out really quick.
Yeah.
And to be quite frank, I mean, if you don't like Freddie Mercury, then
I mean, it's got to be something that is easily recognizable and people can learn very quickly. Yeah.
And it plays into like "Don't Stop Me Now," like, okay, fourth quarter, like, don't stop, like, let's keep going. I mean, this is actually kind of hard to Google because it's bringing up like songs they play at the stadium, like "Final Countdown" by Europe. It's final. Yeah, I'm trying to think of other it's bringing up hype songs, and it's bringing up like themes. Well, whatever you call Rocky Top. Wisconsin's like one of the big ones where they play "Jump Around" and it's a big deal. And I guess it's cool. Yeah, I mean, I would love to go experience that live. Yep. I mean, I guess Iowa, it's not a song, but they wave to the Children's Hospital, which is super cool.
Talk about goosebumps. Yeah, I mean, I would love to experience that live. I mean, my father-in-law is a college football coach, and they got to go play there, and he said that was like one of the coolest things he's ever experienced in his life. Yeah. Yeah, man, like music is just such a, I mean, we're talking to somebody that understands how big music is to people. But yeah, intertwining music with college football, I mean, that's how you get goosebumps. Yeah, I dig it. And I said this the other day, and I find this is a pretty interesting point to the Tom Petty song specifically, is I was thinking about the idea of how long before the Beatles are Betty Boop. Like, it's so far back into history. We're so far removed from it that it's
it's just like an icon in American history, or in not American. It is American history. Not that the Beatles are American, but it's part of our culture that the Beatles were there. It's part of pop culture. Is what I'm saying. So, at what point are these songs just?
Oh, that I don't think
Rocky Top.
I don't think
it's sung so long that this "Don't Back Down" song. Oh, that's just the song we sing at the game. That's the way people view Rocky Top.
That's how Rocky Top started.
But see, because it's on like every bluegrass record ever. Flat and Scruggs has
now,
it on everybody.
Now to us, it's like, to me, it's timeless.
Of course, yeah.
So
I don't think it'll ever go away.
It's like Amazing Grace. It's just there's the top 2 songs in Tennessee, Rocky Top, and then Amazing Grace. Yeah, man, I'm having a hard time finding this because of the.
I mean, it's not
dancing
like
songs in the seats, but I do see this fourth quarter jump around.
I bet some schools probably just have like a chant or something, because I think like Penn State does the "We Are" in between the third and fourth, maybe.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it's not something everyone
says
does.
Missouri does the Missouri Waltz, Johnny Cash between the third and fourth quarter.
Okay.
Sweet Home Alabama does that.
Yeah.
Says they do Basket Case and then Sweet Home Alabama.
Oh, who is
that?
it?
That Green Day song?
Oh, who is it? Or maybe it's just everybody does it. The Mr. Nice Guy, or Brightside. I feel like
Killers, the Killers.
Yeah, I feel like maybe multiple schools do.
Do you like them?
Yeah,
Killers.
Yeah.
Were you ever a Killers fan?
Yeah,
it's a great song.
That is a very good song. Yeah,
but yeah, like a lot of schools, because everybody knows it. Everybody knows I'm Mr. Bright. Like everybody knows that song. So like it's just easy.
Yeah, it really is crazy.
Crank it up to 12 and just let the whole stadium do it.
To your point, there is something about music, and we talked about this on the last podcast Matt was on, that I was saying it's crazy how you have these albums. Mm-hmm. It's one expression. It's like a painting with instruments that these people have made, and they're expressing this thing. And then you dial that down to like this one song, and then how these one little pieces of art can transcend time, can transcend, space and boundaries that we've put on the world, as far as countries or states or whatever. And it's really crazy how diplomatic some of those things are. Like, you sit here and talk about Queen. I mean, that dude's been dead for, what, dude, 20, 30 years? 30 years?
Yeah,
I said 20 years. He wasn't alive in 2000. 30 years.
I know, yeah. Think about how long ago that was.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And
then they still make movies about him and do all that. So I don't know, man. There's a lot in there, but it's really cool. I'm definitely gonna look into all that.
So Tennessee has been very, very traditional when it comes to the music and band played during the games, and we actually now have a DJ. So there's a guy that's Sterling Hinton. He's a former player, former quarterback. They call him Sterl the Pearl, and he has a DJ board, do whatever goes on with all that stuff. I'm not really in all that. And he was always in where the team comes out on that side of the field, and he would just DJ at the start of the game.
So when you say DJ, like he's playing popular songs,
the music
or he's
like the most current
playing
rap songs and hard rock songs and stuff like that. And now they moved him to right in front of the student section, and he's doing it the whole game now. So the band still plays some, but it's not the sole source of music like it used to be. And now he's just.
So does it feel more like you're at the Titan Stadium?
It feels like a show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, yeah.
So what does the band do?
He's trying to do. He's got like one of three choices he makes on the third down. Like he plays this song or this song or this song on the third down to get you hyped up.
Every time, or like it's totally
every
different
single
music?
time. No, every single time. It's usually one of three songs. So.
That's a big thing now. Ole Miss has a DJ now.
Okay.
Because like Lane Kiffin's got this whole party in the sip mantra, where like everything's a party.
Party in the sip. Is that what you just said?
The sip,
that sounds cold.
But I mean, it makes
What
it.
is that? What's the sip?
Like Mississippi.
Oh,
It makes it fun. Like
see, I gotta get educated.
You see the players dancing before the kickoff while they're waiting.
Hey, you know what they call it? Holler in the hills.
Hollers.
They out there hollering in the hills.
Yeah, so
that's cool, man.
I mean, I think that helps though with engagement with younger people and especially the students, because the student population at a game is crucial. They're the ones that are going to primarily be the most rowdy.
Yeah.
Going to be loud more consistently.
Yep.
I mean, as I like to call them, like a lot of fan bases have hand sitters.
Yeah.
Just old people that don't want to stand up and get loud.
Yes.
So, I mean, it was Kiffin's first season was COVID, so it was very different. But Ole Miss notoriously does not have a very rowdy fan base. Mm-hmm. And they don't really sell out a lot of games because they haven't been good in a long time. So he was like, what's the best way to get fans and get students involved? Throw a fucking DJ in the middle of them.
Yeah. So, I mean, they put some beer in this place.
Yeah. I mean, so
let the kids have what they want.
So they have that dude. I think
booze and music.
DJ KO is his name.
Okay.
And during the Tulane game when it was delayed for like 2.5 hours, and it was a downpour, put a tent over him.
And he was just going the whole time?
Still up on the ones and twos, baby.
Awesome. I need to be a DJ at a college stadium, bro. Look,
go be a DJ at Vandy.
I'm going to roll in with some road cases. I don't know what I'm going to want to play.
Y'all got some milk crates? let me throw some.
Yes, dude. Man, we could do. Dude, those people are crazy.
You can show up at Vandy and be a DJ, but like you just start throwing on some dead.
Hey, I'm just going to start carrying a milk crate everywhere with me just so people are like, dude, that dude's wild.
Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, DJ.
So all the schools have them, or just some?
I'd say all of them.
Getting them now. Yeah.
I mean it's at this point, you'd be stupid not to.
Yeah. I mean, it works. You know,
I mean, there's only a handful of fan bases that are going to be like, no, we do it like we did in the old days. Like, no, kids aren't like that.
Notre Dame's probably like that.
Dude, do you remember how much money? I don't know the actual figure, but how when they switched to Under Armour, and Under Armour was like, we want to put our logo in the stadium, and Notre Dame was like, hell no.
Yeah.
Like, you ain't putting your logo on our fancy brick in our Notre Dame stadium, and like they had like a battle, like they had a beef, and Under Armour, I guess, paid some lump sum, and now they're like, okay, fine, like we'll let you put a banner behind the bench, and like Under Armour's like, we're giving you all this money to put on your uniform, and you won't let us.
But I dig that, man. I dig having principles and just like, this is our vibe and this is the way we want it and tradition. That's cool.
I just don't care about selling out anymore. Like, just do it. Like, just sell out.
Does Tennessee have anything? Does every school have the deal where, like, they're coming out of the tunnel and they're smacking something? Do you guys schools have those?
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Y'all have the give your all for Tennessee?
Yeah. They hit that. It's on the so, you know, we've got a new locker room from the last 10 years, and they just took the sign out, put it there, the same sign. Mm-hmm. So everybody just.
So Ole Miss has a bust of a former player that was hit in a game, was paralyzed, or he hit somebody in a game, was paralyzed, and he ended up passing away. So it's Chucky Mullins. So they have an award they give out every year, the Chucky Mullins Award. So somebody normally they would wear his number, like he was number 38. They've gone back to just doing the patch on the jersey. And I think they're probably moving towards officially retiring the number to where nobody will ever wear 38 again. So they have a bust of his head, because his whole thing was never quit. Like when he was hurt, like, you know, couldn't walk anymore, and he was like, just never quit. So they have a brick thing with his bust on it when you come out of the tunnel, and it says never quit on it. And so like everybody pats him on the head when they come out. So that's kind of like their thing.
We also have the General Nealon's Maxims. I don't know if you're familiar with that. So
magazines. Yeah.
So
what?
So,
you don't remember Maxim magazine?
I remember Maxim magazine. That's why I said what, because you.
So I mean, stepping back a little bit, Robert Nealon, he was a general, and he became our head coach, and he is
in the military.
Yeah, and he
as opposed to what?
he
as opposed to the insurance man, the general. That's what I'm talking about.
He's obviously like that's where the name Nealon Stadium comes from.
Yeah,
and he has 7 maxims. I'm not going to read them all. But like the first one is the team that makes the fewest mistakes will win, and they like the whole team.
Yo, so I literally thought y'all were talking about Maxim magazines. Like they had like 7 of them.
Of course,
this dude on Maxim magazine.
Everybody gets an edition.
His favorite covers.
They just touching them. They're just touching them. Maxim magazines.
Oh man.
Okay, I get what you. I'm with you now.
He's got to read a Hayward.
Yeah, I was lost over here. Yeah. I'm with you.
But the whole team recites it together with the coach. Like, and I think the most popular one is the last one. It says carry the fight to our opponent and keep it there for 60 minutes. And like the whole team says these 7 things together, and then they walk out, slap the sign, and they wait for the tee to break on the band, and then they run out the.
Yo, can I level with you for a second? Some of them dudes saying that don't mean it. Evidently on y'all. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
it's just
but once you run through that tee, boy.
Yeah.
Dude, that sounds killer though. I'm making jokes, but. I like that kind of stuff. Do y'all do anything like that? Do y'all have some traditional? That stuff's
cool. Like stuff like that that's been around forever, and like everybody just still does it.
Yeah.
Even if they don't mean it, that the players like all right, we got to do the maxims before we head out.
Yeah.
I think that's cool.
I
mean,
it might.
I don't think so.
It might carry a reminder to him too. Like one of them is like, don't lose the football. Like don't turn it over.
Yeah.
And it's like, but a running back might be like, oh man, I better not lose that football.
Yeah.
So
fucking.
Well,
Nealon's ghost.
It can be so mental.
Yeah.
Like sport, you can be your own worst enemy, man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Between the ears, man.
Yeah. So this matchup Saturday.
Yeah.
Who's gonna win, man?
Ole Miss is the better team. I mean, they clearly all have the fortune of having a coach longer than we have too.
Yeah.
So
I don't know, man. I'd probably say take the over.
Mm-hmm.
Ole Miss's defense is not very good.
The over was 78 last time I looked.
Yo, I'm not gonna
It's
lie.
gonna be up there.
And this may be another joke that doesn't land with you because it's messing with your coach. But I saw a video.
Oh, it's 82 now.
I saw a video of the of y'all's coach. That dude looks like he was delivering pizzas like 2 weeks ago.
Okay, so let's
like they got that dude.
Have you seen him in college?
You know that he won the Heisman in 2000
Your coach
for Oklahoma. He was Oklahoma's quarterback, won the Heisman. They beat Florida State, Virginia Tech. They beat. I might be messing that up. Oh no! So we beat Florida State.
So I don't even know like your current setup either. I don't know his name. I don't know any of it.
Josh Heupel is his name.
How long has he been there?
1 year. This is his first year. So, anyways,
like he was there at training camp. This is his year. Like not like he came in 2 games.
Yeah,
ago,
like January is when he showed up.
Okay.
And February was when 25 players showed up.
Okay.
So after transfer, anyways. So yeah, he won the Heisman, but he does have some offensive prowess. Whatever he's doing is working. He was at Missouri, 16 and 17. Missouri had their best offense, I think, ever. Maybe outside of 2008 then. And then, he went to – where was he after that? Oh, UCF. UCF head coach. And they had, I guess, probably their best offense in a while there too. And obviously it works because, we came out with a full head of steam the last 2 games. I think it's he does not look impressive, but it's impressive that he's shown up and this offensive path that he has chosen, he has put it in place in 8 months. And he's done it with 20 new players that were not there last year that transferred in from something completely different probably. So for him to get everybody on the same page and for them to just be able to pop it out like that, because they're running this no huddle, and it's quick. Like on TV, they can't show the replay. They're already at the line that quickly to run the next play. So, and it's working. So,
does Tennessee have a chance, man?
It feels a little gimmicky.
Yeah, no, they certainly have a chance.
Yeah.
Ole Miss's defense is still they're better than they were last year. So last year they were like 117th in the country. They're running a 3-2-6 just out of lack of personnel. Mm-hmm. They don't blitz a ton, and I know the blitz success rate is poor, but I feel like at some point you got to change, and because look,
the running game may be an issue then because Missouri's a different story. They have a really bad defense, but we ran all over them. We didn't run as much last week, but South Carolina's linebackers were constantly watching wherever our running backs were.
Who's Tennessee's running back right now?
Well, it was Jabari Small, but I think he got hurt.
Velas Jones?
Vias
Jones?
Now, Tennessee was always pretty good at recruiting
sure
running backs. Has that stayed the same?
Yeah.
You guys got a couple.
So, Jabari Small, Tyan Evans. I'm trying to find out if Evans is still hurt.
Jabari Small, who was once committed to Ole Miss.
I didn't know that.
His father played at Ole Miss.
Okay.
There's a lot of ties with this game. Josh Heupel and Jeff Lebby were both on the UCF staff at the same time. So Jeff Lebby is the offensive coordinator at Ole Miss.
Okay.
Josh Heupel lost the, final game of the century or whatever it was when he was at Oklahoma in the Independence Bowl when they played Ole Miss.
Oh, yeah.
Ole Miss kicked a field goal to win it, and then the next season, Heupel and Oklahoma ran the table, went undefeated, won the national title. There's a lot of ties here. Tennessee absolutely has a shot. Ole Miss's defense is bad. It's a very bizarre defense because their yards before contact number is very good, and so explaining that number is when a running back gets the football, how long he has it before he's touched. The Ole Miss defense has a very good number. Like, I think the number when they played Alabama was like 1.5.
Oh, wow.
So it's basically showing that they're in position to make the play. It's just also showing they can't tackle. I mean, I give Ole Miss the edge here because of the quarterback. I mean, Matt Corral is the best player in the country right now.
Bro, Snoop, bro. I like watching highlights of Snoop.
Oh, man.
That's all I had to find.
And
I dug that.
That's the thing that's so weird is Corral gets all the fanfare for good reason. He's phenomenal. But Ole Miss wants to run the football. The offense is all run to set up the pass. And that's what they did against Arkansas. They continued to run the football, and that set up taking the deep shots. So it's basically going to be how patient can Tennessee's defense be, where if they can't stop the run, how will they handle that? Mm-hmm. Because you know how Corral and Kiffin wanted to go the deep shot.
Yeah.
Because that was the thing. Like, Corral threw for almost 300 yards last week against Arkansas, but he only threw 21 times.
Yo, can I ask a question about him, man? Is he like a tad slow, man? Like in the head a little bit, like him. He seems a little broski.
Which one?
Corral.
He's from California.
That's it.
So he's got a little.
That's what I was looking for.
He's got a little laid back.
Do you know what I mean though? Like I was watching a post, and I'm just knocking on him. I'm messing around, but he. I was watching some interview, and the dude asked him a question, and he just like totally said something else. He was just like thinking about something else, I guess. I don't even have the specific, but I was like, this dude.
Yeah.
He might be touched a little bit. But he maybe he's cool, man. I'm just messing around, but
no, I mean I'm excited for the game. I think it's going to be fun. My question for Tennessee is, has the offense found something with Hendon Hooker? I mean, he's thrown for over 400 yards, 6 touchdowns last 2 weeks. But is that a product of like them finding something, or is it they played Missouri and South Carolina?
Yeah.
Last 3 weeks struggled to score in the second half. Now, 2 of those games is because they scored a shit ton in the first half. And then one was they were playing Florida, who's a good defensive team. But, yeah, I'm excited. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be high octane. Both offenses want to go fast. It's going to be a lot of points.
Who does Ole Miss have the week after? Or what do they have?
Oh, shit, that's a good question. Look at me. I don't even know.
What about Tennessee? Why we looked at it?
You got Georgia?
We have Alabama next week.
That's right. You
now, does that make it
forgot about
does
that
make it tough? Like on, let's say Tennessee, like if they're going to play Ole Miss, which is maybe like, hey, we got a shot at this game, but then we have this.
I can tell you, they're not thinking about Alabama right now.
I mean, I don't even know how that works.
It's pretty amazing that I don't even know who Ole Miss plays next week.
Y'all have.
That's how locked.
Oh, you did. We can cut this out. We can make it look like you did.
Is it Auburn?
Y'all have LSU at home.
Oh, duh.
Oh,
yeah,
they've already tabbed that to 2:30 game.
Yeah. God, how did I not?
Y'all gonna kill them at 2:30.
Hey, I was really joking about your boy Corral. He might be a tad slow though. But if he's
the Liberty game.
Yeah,
you should tell him why the Liberty game matters.
I can't believe
the whole story.
I'm not going to tell anybody to watch this now because they're going to be like, man, you suck. Like, you couldn't remember it. Yeah, so next week's big because they're retiring Eli Manning's number. And, like, the whole family will be there and his nephew, Arch.
Oh, you can't get beat in front of Daddy, right? Like, you get beat in front of Daddy. Like
Arch Manning is. But, no, dude, at this point, lay the points with that game.
Yeah.
LSU's players are dropping like flies. They had another starting defensive player that's out for the year. They're on the verge of quitting. Orgeron's dead in the water.
Yeah, it sucks for him. I mean, he was on top of the world with that NFL team they had, and now it's just.
You hate to see it.
I know you do.
Yeah. But there's another tie. Orgeron's coached at both of our schools.
Y'all want to wrap this up?
Sure.
Y'all got more to say?
No.
I think.
I do have one more question.
We've covered a lot.
I was going to get you, since obviously you want Tennessee to win. What does Tennessee have to do to win?
Do the same thing they've been doing. Come out real hot, abnormally hot. So we've scored 28 points in both of the last 2 first quarters, and the other team has scored none in both of the last 2 first.
Maybe they need to start smacking the thing and looking at the Maxim magazines
and
between every quarter.
Maybe it's helping.
Is that what it is? The guys get all excited at the Maxims.
And we were actually up on South Carolina 35-0 right after the start of the second. But like you said, the problem is that I don't know how to explain it. It's almost like the points get to their head and it's just just dies
Could it be
out.
missed game management? I mean, are they?
I don't know.
It could be a mix of things. Calling off the dogs.
Adjustments made and
subconsciously players just
Are they subbing in?
Probably that too.
Subbing in to give experience.
Yeah.
What's Ole Miss got to do to win, man?
I mean, I think you got to get a fast start, and that's kind of what he was saying. But it's a sellout, first sellout since 2017. It's gonna be loud. I think they got to come out and set the tone early, run the football.
That's a hard environment to walk into too, right?
It's loud
when it's sold out and
it's a night game too,
and the fans are buying in. Yeah.
What time's the game?
7:30,
6 or 6:30,
or Eastern.
Our time,
Eastern, yeah. So 6:30 here. So they got to come out and run the football. I think they got to establish the line of scrimmage. Your boy Snoop and Henry Parrish, and I don't know. I think Jerry Neely will be back. He was on concussion protocol last week. Just got to get first downs, keep Hendon Hooker and that offense off the field, and I think if they suck the air out of the stadium early, it's a big game for Tennessee.
Yeah.
Like you said, buying with the fans. People are excited again. I mean, tickets went off the proverbial shelves real quick when they won last week.
Yep.
People sold out the stadium really quick. So I think Ole Miss has to go in there, really silence the crowd, and maybe get Tennessee thinking like, oh, maybe we're not ready for this type of game because it's a top 15 opponent.
We're ready to be disappointed again. So.
Hey, you're talking to to one of the most self-deprecating fan bases of all time. So,
expectations are what makes it hard on us. So,
yeah. I mean, as Red would say, one of the greatest poets of our generation. Hope is a dangerous thing.
Yep.
Well, in also quoting one of the best poets of our time, "Bitch, don't kill my vibe."
Hey, yeah, whose vibe is going to be killed on Saturday? Yeah, that's a good mantra.
Well, man, I really appreciate you coming. Tell everybody where they can find your podcasts.
Yeah,
and whatever else, how they can look your stuff up.
Podcast Rebellion and the Soft Verbal, both where you get your podcasts: Apple, Spotify, TuneIn, Podbean, all that stuff. Podcast Rebellion, you can also find it at redcuprebellion.com, and then Soft Verbals at rebelgrove.com. You can find so we've got Instagram now with Red Cup. We're getting with the kids, getting with the youngsters, and then
you never did Instagram before?
No, I have a personal one,
but just for your business.
But yeah, just for
that's
the website.
Actually the only way. That's the only way I do Instagram now. I do Rocket Man's Wheelhouse on Instagram, plugging it.
Yeah, I mean, it's super easy to plug your podcast now, and then just sharing stuff is super simple. But yeah, and then you can follow me on Twitter at Zach_Barry on Twitter. So
cool, man. Thank you very much. Glad you guys got to meet each other.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was fun.
This has been a blast.
Been good.
Very informative. Thank you.